In today's video, we're going to be diving into the upcoming pattern, taking a look here at the tropics, looking at the overall storminess around the nation, and of course, that overall much colder than normal pattern that we are going to be stuck in at least until about the 10th of September, maybe even beyond. We expect at least, I would say, two Arctic blasts coming down from the Arctic regions up there in northern Canada, blasting down into the central and eastern United States and bringing October or even maybe late October to even early November type temperatures. Let's take a look at the tropics, though. We haven't done this in a couple of days. We still only have this threat level out there in the Atlantic, 0% chance over the next 2 days, and a 30% chance over the next 7. This one overall has not changed in a while, and the reason being is because this is more of a medium-term to long-term threat, not really a short-term threat, hence why there's only a 0% chance over the next 2 days. But once we creep into the days 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's when we start to see the chance of this one developing. Outside of that, on this GFS model, this one goes way out to sea. That is definitely worth noting that as of now, the current projected path on a lot of these models is well away from the United States or the Caribbean. And we can't rule out that this one does something differently, but that is the current consensus as of now. There is a little bit of activity down here in the Southern Caribbean and Gulf towards the tail end of the model run, but nothing worth noting in the short to even medium range as of now. So let's go ahead and dive into some of our model guidance and talk about, again, the overall storminess and some of those very cold temperatures compared to normal. First things first, looking at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook as of today, the final day of August and the final day of meteorological summer, as 12 a.m. tonight on September 1st marks the first day of meteorological fall. So really exciting stuff. We can see that this is for the 6th through the 10th, and we do expect still warmer than normal conditions over the western areas here of the northwest into the southwest. And we do expect, as a result of this, cooler temperatures in the central and the eastern states for this time frame. A little warmer towards the Gulf Coast, but for everywhere north of this area here, we do anticipate cooler than normal conditions. The 8 to 14 day temperature outlook for, you guessed it, September 8th through 14th, definitely tells a little bit of a different story, where we start to see still the heart of the warmth over the west here, but obviously they're expecting the potential for this to begin to spread eastward. This is a longer term outlook, so this definitely has room to change. They do expect for the northeast and mid-Atlantic to hold on to a bit of these cooler temperatures, but this is kind of the end, potentially, of the more locked-in, colder pattern for the entire central and eastern states. This does not look that way any longer. As we take a look at how the past 5 days have gone, clearly it's pretty similar to what we expect upcoming. Warmer conditions overall along the western coast of the United States, central and eastern states here, well below normal. The blues are 1 to 10 degrees below normal, and the greens are 10 to 15 degrees below normal. Typically, what I say is the greens at 10 to 15 degrees below normal is about the average temperature a month out from now when we're looking at the fall time and the descending temperatures. So this is much more similar to what you'd expect in late September, early October, maybe even mid-October in some of these green areas. Now, looking at this storminess, there's going to be some areas of activity, and there's going to be some huge areas that lack a lot of activity. The primary areas that we're watching for a considerable dry spell will be this deep south, southeast, and kind of mid-Atlantic area here. We'll see that later on. We do expect some activity to take place here across the plains and areas very close to the Gulf and southeast coast there, where offshore there will be tons of activity. It's just a little too far offshore. So let's watch this play out. This is as of today on Sunday. Here's Monday the 1st here. Again, the plains flourishing, southeast dry, unless you're in that immediate coastal areas of maybe North Carolina. Tuesday the 2nd looks fairly similar. We do start to see some of this lowering down into the deeper south from the plains. And right around now is when we're going to start to watch for a low forming between the Hudson Bay and Great Lakes. Once that does occur, we'll have a low and we'll have a cold front, so it'll bring precipitation with it, but also the cooler air is going to bring in that Arctic blast that we have upcoming. So here's Wednesday the 3rd, and we start to see it taking more shape. Overall, we see this low here again between the Hudson Bay and Great Lakes, this bowed out cold front. And we could tell that a lot of this air is much cooler and drier that is heading in and getting pulled in behind it. So it is a very intense cold front overall. Let's keep going towards Thursday as this thing just kind of progresses further and further eastward. Friday the 5th as well. We see some of the leftover frontal boundary left over here for the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. And we do see another low trying to kind of move in here, potentially bringing another cold front with it, which will pull in even more cold air. This is by Friday the 5th. And then here's by Saturday the 6th, some precipitation around for the plains, as well as the Appalachian Mountain Range, sort of, there for West Virginia, eastern Kentucky, eastern Ohio, western Pennsylvania, areas like that. And then by Sunday the 7th, maybe one of the coldest frames in the east for this entire model run. It's very dry around, but we could tell we have a significant trough in the east. Monday is fairly similar. And then after that, Tuesday the 9th, we start to warm up. Wednesday the 10th as well. For a few days, it's still very, very dry. There is still the potential for some nor'easter development. We do see a lot of moisture off the southeast here, and some of that is getting onshore to the South Carolina, North Carolina area. But there's a good chance that this is too far offshore. And if that's the case, we're going to really not benefit too much from any of the precipitation. We're in a fairly similar predicament. I do crop this so where you can see the United States a little bit more zoomed in. Just to the north of where you can probably see, you might be able to see it, you might not. But to the north of this line that I've just drawn, there is a low in the Hudson Bay, 988, and we do see this stretching cold front underneath it. This is going to pull in the next round of cold air on this model. We are at Friday the 12th here, and this model run has another cold front and another trough move in for the 12th, 13th, 14th time frame, maybe getting us to the halfway mark of the month of September, still on a cooler note, which would be very significant and very long-lasting for this time of year. And we really don't see any huge surges of precipitation at all on the entire model run. Also, really worth noting, that's crazy stuff for a whole 15-day period. It's unbelievable. Looking at the total precipitation, we can tell there is a huge lack of precipitation. Again, mostly in kind of this area. We'll see it on the anomalies in a minute, but this is hugely lacking compared to typical. We do see a good, healthy amount around for parts of the Midwest and plains there. And then for some of the immediate southeast coast in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, it's a bit better than areas inland. So let's look at the anomalies here. And, yeah, not too good. We do see, again, healthy amounts here for these regions. But looking at the deep south along the Gulf Coast and up the southeast there, that is nearly no precipitation. So we're looking at 1 inch to 2 inches below average for most of these areas, because most of these areas average 1 inch or 2 over the first 15 days of September. So if you're getting almost nothing, that is significant. That is hugely inactive. Now, that's a big story, but here's the cold air. Again, on the European model, you can tell we have some in place right now. For Sunday on the 31st, Monday the 1st is going to be rather cool as well. Tuesday the 2nd still, but we have that next Arctic blast moving in by Wednesday. Again, this has come from northern Canada all the way by the North Pole, basically, and headed all the way across Canada into the United States. That's why we call it an Arctic blast. It's not because we're experiencing the temperatures that you would imagine in the Arctic, but it's because this air mass comes from the Arctic. It is Arctic air moving down from that region down into the United States, or in other words, blasting down. So that's basically the terminology there. But we continue to see this warmer pattern out west, and that's going to be huge. We call this a positive PNA, and as long as this stays in place, we could continue to see cooldowns. There's no telling how long this pattern could really last. By Thursday the 4th, it's really moving in, and then by Friday the 5th, we could see really the areas really getting cool air from this initially is going to be those northern and central plains, as well as the upper Midwest here, where we're looking at, again, 10 to 15 degrees below normal in the greens, and we even have those purplish blues where we're 15 to 25 degrees below normal. That's going to be maybe 2 months ahead of schedule. Maybe temperatures you'd more experience in late October or early November for some of these areas. Really, really significant for early September. This isn't just September. This is early September that we're talking about here. First week. By Sunday the 7th, it's beginning to move eastward, so we see the east more so cooling down by this time frame. Also Monday the 8th, Tuesday the 9th here, it's starting to become less intense, but we continue to see cooler air. And then we get to something that's a little bit more reminiscent of what the Europe or the Climate Prediction Center and National Weather Service showed on their 8 to 14 day outlook towards the beginning of the video, where the warmth is spreading eastward. There is cooler temperatures still for the immediate eastern states. But as time goes on, we see something very different begin to take place. Here's Friday the 12th. And look out west. This is the biggest thing. We still have a majority warmth here, so a more positive P&A pattern in nature. And we get another Arctic blast just moving in a hurry. And this could be another significant one. It is beyond hours 240, which would be the 10-day mark, and we consider this the long range. So take it with a grain of salt, please. But considering we're already in this type of a pattern, we do continue to expect this pattern through the short and medium range. This is probably the most easy to believe pattern in the long range, because it's not like a huge switch needs to occur for this to happen. We really just need to continue seeing what we're already seeing and what we already expect to see here in the short range. We need to see that just not really stop. So if you're looking for a pattern in the long range that is the most realistic at this point and easy to believe from a model, it would be the one that we're already in, essentially. Because again, it does not require some huge catalyst. We're already in it. The catalyst has already occurred. As we keep going, we can see that weekend would be rather cool. Saturday the 13th, we do have warm air putting up a fight here. Obviously, there's still some summer air, summer humidity that's trying really hard to move in. But this cooler air is pushing in really, really good. So you get this kind of conflict of the air masses, and we would have to see which one wins out, but lately it's actually been the cooler air, surprisingly. And we see this one does win as well, moving all the way down to states like Georgia, Alabama, Florida even. So the warm air doesn't really put up too much of a fight. It maybe circulates back into the south central plains, and this cooler air is able to kind of move in. Of course, it's like oil and water. They don't want to mix. They want to kind of move around each other. So that's why I'm drawing this illustration for the most part. So we end off the model run. This is the final frame on a cooler note for Monday, September 15th. So the halfway mark of the month. Crazy, crazy stuff. Here is the GFS model as well, in case you're curious. We'll see what we can kind of compare. But we get this really intense Arctic air moving down for this first cool down. Again, for the third here. I mean, look at this. We don't only get the purplish blues, we get the magentas, which is 25 degrees or more below normal for northern Minnesota there. Also south central Canada. This is significant. As we keep going, we can see a lot of cooler air is able to make its way into the eastern states, just like the European model. And then we get another Arctic blast trying to move in after the 10th here on this model as well. Although the warmth does put up a better fight, we still see the final frame of the model run on this model as well, cooler for the eastern seaboard. On this particular model, it goes out a little further. This is for September 16th. Absolutely incredible. With all that being said, we'll continue to keep you guys up to date with all of this, of course. So be sure to subscribe. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.